Hello, this question comes from Anissa here, and she's studying The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time. Her question is, I really struggle with the second part of my literature exam. I only got half marks on the second question. The book, as we know, is The Curious Incident, but it's really hard to find any revision material since it's so obscure, and I always struggle doing past paper questions. Any advice on how to revise it effectively? Yes, I've got lots of really quick bits of revision that should help you. So the first thing you should do is go to Google and put in essays on the curious incident of dog in the night time. Here's the first one I came up with that's free. It's posted by somebody called Spencer Williams, who's American because we're talking about a sophomore year. He doesn't write as we would write for a UK exam, in the sense that this essay talks too much about the plot. However, in each paragraph he does tell us why he thinks the writer has done this. And that discussion of the author's purpose is always going to get you at least into the B grade and most likely the A. So top tip, steal ideas from other students and you'll find this on Google. There is another American site which I think is getting better and better. It's called Shmoop. Now the language it's written in is often much too casual for a UK audience. It's certainly too casual for use in an exam, but the ideas are very good. So here we have the curious incident of the dog in the night time and some interesting little bits of information. Truth can mean a lot of different things. There's the truth as in the opposite of a lie, and then there's the truth, yes, with a capital T, like the ultimate truth in the universe. In the curious incident of the dog in the night time, Christopher has something to say about both of these things. So this is another explanation of the author's purpose, Mark Haddon's purpose, and a number of points in between. So we know that they're going to analyse a range of purposes. These questions, I think, are quite interesting and will lead you towards at least A grade thinking. Why does Christopher take such pleasure in debunking myths? It's a short step from that to say, why is Mark Haddon interested in this? And so on. If you click on the next, we should find something that's even more useful. So here we've got quotations and they're very helpfully titled. I think this is a fabulous resource. Let's just click on that and see what it tells us. So here we go. It gives us an explanation of why the quotation is important. I think this will be a fabulous site for you to revise from. So Shmoop, get schmooping. Next, you should go to the AQA website. I've downloaded this PowerPoint from there. It's called More Advice on Teaching Literature. And we can see an example of what the examiners are telling us these questions look for. The example they're given is about an inspector calls, but these bits of help will be exactly the same. So let me show you how to use that. Focus on the writer in order to remind candidates to think about the text as a conscious construct. In other words, what's the writer doing? So you will put Mark Haddon there and you'll ask yourself, what is he doing in this book? Focus on the key social ideas. So what's Mark Haddon saying about society? What's he saying about Swindon, my hometown? He calls it, I think, the armpit of the universe or something horrible like this. But anyway, what is he saying about society and the way we treat people who are different, who are neurologically different, I think is the politically correct term to talk about it now. Mark Haddon doesn't claim that Christopher has got Asperger's or is autistic. He's just interested in Christopher's differences. Right, what's the next one? The task as a whole assesses AO1 in terms of candidates presenting a considered response, which is code for you write whatever you like, but in a thoughtful way with lots of analysis of your quotations. And then finally, the bullet points will tell you, there'll be a scaffold of what to include, and make sure you include everything that it asks for. So that's really useful, as are the notes here. Assessment Objective 1 states that students should use textual reference, including quotations. But remember, you're not allowed the book in the exam. So what do the examiners expect? This means they will be expected to use direct quotations some of the time, but not necessarily all of the time. So where students have the stimulus materials in front of them, so an extract, they will be expected to use quotations from the extract to support their interpretations. Where students don't have the material in front of them, in other words, you're going to write about the play as a whole, they will be expected to support their interpretation with a range of types of textual reference. So what are they? Students have always made direct reference to the text, that's quoting, and use of references such as single words, which you can remember from the text, paraphrasing what the gist of a quotation was, and summary. So you're allowed to do all of that in the closed book context. The mark scheme doesn't reward quantity or accuracy of direct quotations. So there isn't a set number. However, I think you need at least 8 would be my guess, because although it's not written down in the examiner's requirements, they're English teachers after all, and they'll have a mental picture about what's good. So instead it rewards the strength of the interpretation and the appropriateness of the reference in support of that interpretation. This must be the 4th time that the examiners mentioned the word interpretation, and that's what counts. I keep going back to AO2, that's the author's interpretation. When you're talking about society, it's the author's interpretation of society. And when you're writing about your own response, you have to consider it in relation to what you think the author is up to. So big hints from the examiner. Write about an interpretation of the author's thoughts. And then finally, go to your teacher tomorrow and say, look, we're with AQA. AQA offer Exam Pro, and on Exam Pro they tell us they will give us examples of real student answers to the questions in the specimen papers. And those are the only papers we've got so far. Now, your teacher might not be aware of this, so tell them they can get 3 logins per school. Do it tomorrow. Get your teacher to find this stuff and they'll probably thank you. So there you go. Enjoy your revision. If you would like any more, don't forget to subscribe.